Welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Danny.
And this is Jim.
It's October. It's spooky.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. Was that spooky?
Yeah, it was spooky.
Is creepy kind of spooky?
Yes.
Excellent.
Oh, it was more creepy than spooky?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a very good Vincent Price voice.
Nobody has a very good Vincent Price voice.
Yeah.
I mean, he's singular. Absolutely singular. Well, we have we have a creepy thing to talk about.
Yeah, it had a pretty creepy trailer.
Yeah. But before we get into that, some more losses since the last episode. You know, more of the top generation leaving us. In particular, John Amos.
Yeah.
Folks who know him would probably remember him as James Evans, the father on Good Times, a show that I grew up with. And he was awesome. He was awesome. So many movies and other TV bits. And he was just this presence. Like, you knew you did not want to fuck with this guy.
Right.
Ever at all. And I saw a clip that someone had put up of him talking about playing in, I can't remember the name of the movie. Shit. Going to America? The Eddie Murphy movie, where he's an African prince and he comes over. Eddie Murphy used to like to play practical jokes on him. So in these movies, he played several characters. And, you know, Amos didn't know, you know, what he was going to look like and stuff. So the first time he had a new character makeup on, and it was just completely hid who he was. John Amos was out eating a sandwich.
Oh, gosh.
And Eddie Murphy rolled up to him and just did this voice and was just giving him shit. And in particular, his particular fashion, Amos turns and was like, buddy, do we need to do something about you being here? And then he said Eddie Murphy just erupted into his patented laughter.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, God damn it. You got me again, Eddie. The guy was always on my case. But he's a sweet guy. But he really just did have, I mean, for lack of a better term, manly man.
Sure.
You know, he was just big and that big presence. And, you know, even on Good Times, which was, you know, a family show sitcom, you just didn't want to hear that dad voice from him. Oh, yeah. You know, he was something else. So, you know, unfortunately, we say this every time. There's just going to be more and more because that's just the fact of life.
Yeah.
You know, other things, we did the Making Pondo, Talking Pondo.
We did.
Podcast.
It will not be released until February.
Right. But I encourage you folks to go look them up, listen to episodes, kind of catch up. They do seasons, so there's going to be a break. That's why we won't be out until about mid-February. And we will remind you. But listening to them talk about movies, first of all, let's back it up. Being on that episode.
So fun.
Oh, my God. It was just all the movie nerd just flowing. Yeah.
Big movie nerd energy.
Yes, so big. We talked about Friday the 13th, the original 1980 version, and The African Queen with Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. And we talked the shit out of both of those movies, the four of us. It was a lot of fun. So we'll be plugging that along. Also talked to David Ryan Keith, and we are looking at March.
For Primal Games.
Yes.
Release.
Yes. So we won't be reviewing it. And he agrees it's, way too soon. But we will cover that closer to its
release date.
And he is also starting a Patreon.
Clear Focus Films.
Clear Focus Movies.
Clear Focus Movies.
Limited Ltd.
Okay.
Yeah, just Clear Focus Movies. You'll find him on YouTube. He put up a short post today, in fact, and go ahead and take a look at that. He's not asking for paid memberships. He's letting people join for free. Clear Focus Movies has almost 60,000 followers now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago when it was like 60.
Well, I mean, he's got a great repertoire of films out there.
Yes. So on his YouTube channel, right, he has Attack of the Herbals has been free for a long time. Ghosts in the Dark, free for a long time. And they're worth watching. And the reason he's doing the Patreon is because his communication method with people is just through the comments on YouTube.
Sure.
So he would like to get out of there and bring it to a nice forum. And Patreon is good for that.
Yeah.
You know, so if you would like to join and, get into the conversations with him, and he's going to try and put like Patreon only content.
Yeah.
Like a little video here and there that won't be on the Clear Focus channel on YouTube, which would be cool. So recommend you do that. He's all gung-ho to come on the show and talk about Primal Games as we get closer. We can't wait.
Love that.
Yeah. And we got a couple other things that are exciting happening, but I'm not going to specifically name them because, little confidentiality. Don't want to, guess what other people
right
are going to be okay with. So, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing some script work.
Yeah.
And, some other little things here. So, not bad.
Not bad at all.
No, rolling off a good weekend. Just, busy as shit, but good days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you folks, but those are getting fewer and fewer.
Yeah.
And it's not like bad things happen.
Well, and I think generally we're fairly positive people. We try to be positive. I mean, we're honest in our film reviews, so those are not all positive. But in life in general,
right,
we're pretty positive people.
Yeah, and sometimes a bad weekend is just it's so busy. It's like 11:30 on a Saturday night, and you finally get to go. And that kind of sucks because Sundays are typically house chores days, my 3-hour adventure grocery shopping every week. Sunday's just kind of eating up. So,
yeah.
And then there's the podcast, getting episodes out, everything. But yeah, it's been pretty good, and folks, I hope you have had a good weekend in between somewhere, just a couple of days where it's like, this was good. This was good. Wasn't stressful, wasn't rushed. Just nice.
Yeah.
Just nice.
I want to put it out there to our listeners. Coming up soonish is the end of the year. And a little tradition of ours is to do a year-end retrospective on a filmmaker who might not be widely known, but who made a difference, who had an effect on the world of filmmaking. I mean, for good or bad, I think they've all been pretty good.
Right.
But if you listeners have any suggestions for us to cover for our year-end retrospective, we have a couple of ideas floating around.
Right.
But I just want to put it out there.
And it doesn't have to be a collection of films. It could be short films. There are plenty of people out there who have buckets of short films, all these little, not even anthologies, they just make short films, send them our way. Send them our way. Well, and we just want to do a salute to somebody who has either made a difference or who is virtually unknown, but yet prolific.
Right.
You know, and that happens.
Sure does.
Right. So, yeah. Info at lordsofmisrulproductions.com, or you can just go to lordsofmisrulproductions.com, cruise around the site, got a link to contact us, and let us know. And on that note, go ahead, visit the website and check out our own Patreon.
All right.
Yeah, we got Patreon links on the website for the podcast and for the production company. You can choose either. If you choose the podcast, everything goes towards the podcast, period. If you choose the production company, most of it will go towards the podcast.
Yeah, at least for right now.
Yeah, until we get, a bunch more. But yeah, those will go towards, other projects and stuff.
Yes.
But we would really appreciate it. $5 a month, one single tier. Right now you get an episode a week early. And as we get more people, we'll do more stuff. Yeah, check out we got link to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
For I always forget what I put up there. Observations of Earth with B.F. McGillicuddy.
Right.
We also have the YouTube channel for the podcast, probably for the B-side. If you want to watch a still image while listening, it's there for you.
Some people like to listen to their podcasts on YouTube. There's nothing wrong with that.
They keep trickling in. Yeah. And we'll keep doing it.
Well, I mean, you and I throughout the day, we listen to YouTube stuff, but, while we're working and don't necessarily watch it. Yeah,
weirdly, there's a couple things. Yeah, you don't need to pay attention. It's just more the hearing.
Yeah. Just some noise.
Yeah. One of those folks I'm going to throw out there, Kyle Hester, actor guy. Okay. Look him up. Just type in Kyle Hester on YouTube. Check out his channel and see what he has to say. And you know what? He's got a Patreon too. And he is trying to finish a movie called Preacher 6. They're in post-production. It's been a nightmare. You know what? Go over there and show a little love.
Yeah.
I think he starts at like $3 a month. He's been at it for a while longer. But he does some really cool stuff.
He does.
Yeah. And, he's a friend of ours. We want everybody to succeed.
Yes.
Oh, and we have Love Song of William H. Shaw has a distribution deal.
Yes.
It's a coming.
Yeah. Actually, all 3 films.
Yes. There's even talk of a box set.
Zoe. Yeah. And Love Song.
Yeah. Yeah. Box set. Oh, I would love it.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah. Well, we have the first 2 on DVD.
We do.
And obviously, since it's not released, it's, not out. But yeah, we'd love to have all 3. I think that's it for the house maintenance. Tell
us about this movie.
All right. I'm pausing for effect.
Do your best Vincent impression.
I can't. I can't. I've tried many times because, it'd be a fun thing to do, instead of doing Bruce Campbell doing Elvis all the time. Yeah, I can't do Vincent.
Fine.
I can't. So this episode's movie, Broadcast Signal Intrusion, was released in 2021, directed by Jacob Gentry, written by Phil Drinkwater and Tim Woodall, starring Harry Shum Jr., Kelly Mack, Chris Sullivan. So initially it said no rating, but depending where you see it, it sometimes gets either the TVMA or an R rating. No budget. Surprise. And the log line for this is, in the late 90s, a video archivist unearths a series of sinister pirate broadcasts and becomes obsessed with uncovering the dark conspiracy behind them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, sounds creepy. Now, a quick note. This was inspired by a true event in 1987 in Chicago. It was Channel WGN. 2 times in one night. There was a 30-second intrusion of someone wearing a Max Headroom mask.
Okay.
And I can't remember how long the second one was, if it was another 30 seconds. I didn't, dive into what happened and what they do and all that. But it was something that happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to put that out there. I stumbled on that little fact.
Fun.
So I do believe it says based
on
an actual event.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it. That's what we're going to be yapping about.
All right.
Shall we yap?
Let's yap.
Take us in.
So we start out with this guy who's asleep at a desk with some TVs next to him. They're all on that blank signal screen.
The color bar.
Mm-hmm. And he wakes up and just starts kind of cleaning up the station a bit. We get a sub, Chicago 1999. And then he's walking down the street. It seems like his job is a night job.
I mean, yeah.
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 And then he's at home, I assume, working on a camera. There's a video playing on a TV that's a woman. My notes are very scattered because there's like a lot of various things happening.
Yeah.
And then on that video, it's like 2 people running. It's him and a woman, the woman from the video.
Mm-hmm.
She stops. This is sort of like a dreamlike sequence. He starts recording her. And then when she turns, her face is this weird rubber mask.
Right.
And then we're back at his house. There's a guy coming to pick up his camera that this dude has fixed. And he has this sort of weird conversation with him about like, sometimes you just know people. And they have sort of this weird conversation about payment about the camera.
Yeah.
And the guy calls him an artist. And it's very confusing. I have no idea what is the situation here.
It was a lot. There was no fade in.
It was an enormous amount of information with no context. So It's very hard to organize it.
Well, I want to point out when you hit play, you're in it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, no fade in, no credit sequence. We're just going, and then a lot happens.
Yeah.
Like a whole lot happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was difficult to get this first paragraph that you just covered. For me, the same thing. I got the same amount of stuff.
Yeah.
I think maybe one thing was, I'm not sure if it's a night job, but he came out at night and it seemed pretty late.
Right.
So maybe into
or
the night.
Early.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that could be too. I don't know. There was no context of time.
Then our main guy, he's in some support group.
Mm-hmm.
And he is looking at a tattoo of a date on his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
That I believe is 11/22/96 or 11/21/96.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that. And then outside, he's talking to this woman who is talking in the group. He asks if her husband left her anything like a note. She tells him it gets easier. And so I'm thinking maybe his girlfriend or whoever she was, the woman in the video.
Right.
Did she kill herself?
I mean, that's what I got out of it. They don't actually say. No,
they don't.
We're inferring this.
Right.
Based on the conversation. But I mean, like it was just, it was a weird conversation.
It was a weird conversation.
Kind of exchanging sentences that weren't tied together till ultimately it got to a point. She says it gets easier. And then he asks, what does that mean? And then she says, it's meaningless. I don't know if it was trying to be a cutesy play on words.
I think she was saying like, that's what people say. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then he's back at work, I guess, archiving tapes.
Mm-hmm.
He's an archivist, I guess. And then one tape he's watching cuts out, and it was like a newscast. And it's interrupted by this video of someone in a mask making weird sounds.
Yes.
Just sort of like, rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, it was really, it wasn't like mumbling either. It was like electronic. It was like a mix of things.
Yeah. And then back to the regular tape. So he records the interrupted bit and takes it home.
Mm-hmm.
And then he tries playing it at home, but it like destroys the tape.
Yeah.
And then he's back at work and he's pulling lots of tapes. Like he's trying to find more of this, I guess. And he finds out about some signal piracy, I guess. Don Kronos.
Yeah.
And he can't find the one that they're talking about. It's very confusing. So if this sounds confusing, it's because the film is confusing.
Roll with it.
He leaves a note for his coworker on the other shift. So I guess there's two of them. And then they leave him a note back saying that tape was seized by the FCC.
Yeah.
Because he's looking for a particular Don Kronos episode. And then he's like calling from a payphone asking about it to some other station, I guess. And he sees someone, like a woman in a hoodie.
Right, across the street.
Yeah, who then disappears.
Yeah.
And the guy on the phone says he doesn't have it. And not only that, but he has to flag anyone who asks about it to the FBI. Then our main guy calls the guy whose camera he's fixed, whose name is Chester. So I still don't know our main guy's name.
Right.
But this other character is named Chester. And then Chester is with him watching a tape, and it cuts to the same masked person. This is the Don Kronos tape.
Right. But I just want to note that the guy brought his own VCR.
Yeah.
And there was a whole, 45 seconds to a minute, not even conversation, just him going on about, we'll get you a better VCR or some.
I don't know. Chester calls it the Sally Sparks incident, a creepy unsolved mystery, and the hacker who did it was never caught. These signal intrusions with the masked person.
Right.
And Chester offers to trade this video for a video camera that the main guy has, which he does sort of reluctantly.
Yeah, he was on it the first time he came.
Yeah.
It's like, is this it? Is this the one? I don't know the one what, because we still don't have any connection to it, but he was all hot and bothered over it.
Yeah. And so the main guy reluctantly agrees to trade because he wants this video. And we learn that Sally Sparks was some old show about a cyborg. So that's why they called this the Sally Sparks incident, because they think it was like inspired by that old show.
It was supposed to be an 80s sitcom.
Right.
And Sally was SAL-E.
Right.
They called her Sally, and they go into the whole naming thing. But Guy builds an android wife to help raise his adopted kids. I mean, what a weird, very specific.
Sure. I mean, there were a lot of weird shows in the 80s.
But I mean, even why, but still.
And then he's researching a whole lot, and he finds the name of an FCC report that was written about this incident and the name of the person who wrote it. Yeah,
he was roaming this online bulletin board. I guess it was really weird. I had no idea what the fuck he was doing at this point. It's
like a chat room
I have no
forum.
Idea. There was no indication of anything. So you actually see the screen and something happened, and I thought he was reading posts.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of a spoiler. In a little down the road, it's actually chatting going on. Anyway. So he ends up looking at the name of some guy, and then he's next thing we know, he's talking with this guy. The guy's a doctor. He brings up the Chicago Broadcast Intrusions.
Mm-hmm.
So there's our reference to the thing that happened. So finally, the main dude is named James.
Yes.
And this is a chunk into the movie.
This was 2 seconds after I literally wrote, main guy needs a name, so I'll call him Bob.
I know, it was hilarious. So, okay, so here we go. We get the exposition. Broadcast intrusions are a rare phenomenon. Only 40 have ever taken place. FCC could not make out what they were watching. So it's just this thing. And this is a lot of exposition that honestly at this point is not helping. There were 2 Sally Sparks intrusions, rumors of a third one happening much later. And so this is what I wrote. Not going to lie, really lost here. At this point in the film, I really wasn't sure if I was enjoying it or not, because it was just relentless stuff. And like not enough time to absorb, and nothing was linked.
Well,
we didn't have a path.
Well, they kind of tried. Here's one thing that I wrote. The author of that report, who he's talking to, who gives all this exposition, says if there is a third one, it would have been on a cable access channel, and he knows the date that it supposedly aired, which was the day after James's girlfriend killed herself or died or whatever happened.
Was found
to her.
It or something. Yeah. So on that part, because I checked out, so I put, while the movie works to get to a point that is followable, I'll make these comments.
Okay.
So in spite of everything, shot well. The music was not my cup of tea at all. It's atrocious. Jarring, even when it's supposed to be mellow, right? Just bad. But anyway, the doctor was talking about scales.
Yeah.
So the first intrusion was a big scale, national. Mm-hmm. Second intrusion was local, smaller. He's like, so what would be next? Cable access. And then we move forward. Okay. So when I checked back in, we're back to the woman from the group is asking him out on a date while they're outside smoking. James declines, and then cut to him at work. And there's a note that says, nothing all week. What are you doing? Second warning. So some boss, I presume, is leaving him posties. They don't actually ever see each other.
Right.
Kind of weird. And then he's into his work, doing that, looking into that weird intrusion again, and trying to mix the sound to be able to tell what is being said. There's lots of awful sounds. I mean, it squelches and squeals and squawks. And those are all technical terms, folks. I'm not just pulling your leg. And a lot of just electronic noise in the background. He adjusts the speed, and we hear words that say, I fixed them. I fixed them all. Concerning. Then there's a jarring sound behind him. He goes... Oh, I thought you were pointing at me.
No.
He goes looking and looking and looking and looking, finds nothing. And then that horrible music is just, again, jarring. I can say at this point that if for no other reason, end up not liking this and hating it, it's because of this goddamn music. If you can even call it that. And I'll talk about that after. The importance of music. So I'm assuming the next day at work, he goes in and there's another Post-it note and it says, I fixed them. I fixed them all. And then he's scrumming through the tape, taking photos of where he pauses and freeze frames. In one pause, he catches a reflection of someone in the window behind the strange person wearing the mask. So behind the strange person, it was hard to write this out. So this strange masked person behind them in the video is a window. And that window is a reflection of somebody filming. And then we cut to, he's in a parking garage, and then he steps out. The doctor guy's in his car driving. James steps out in front of him and showing him the pictures he took, and the reflections apparently also showed it was a set,
right?
Not a room. I'm just going to go with it because I couldn't tell anything. Think of like all the James Bond movies, all the adventure movies, anything that has to do with looking at a fucking map or a picture as a point of reference as they're talking about it, exposition or not. You get a good look at it, right?
Yeah.
And you get to see what they're going on about. I saw Dick. They could have been the Sunday funnies. I wouldn't have known the difference. So it's kind of coming through. I've been detached from this, which is going to lead to a lot of stuff being talked about. Anyway, talk, and he's back at work with a note that says, "Drink up. I have to let you go. Strike 3." There's a
With
bottle
some
of
like
something.
beer or something.
Yeah, a little cheap champagne or some wine or I don't know. And then there's something on the screen. And I just put in the pacing of this is terrible. It is so long.
Well, here's the thing. You and I
Yes.
watched this movie at the same time. We took notes at the same time.
Yes.
What you just explained is so 1 out of 10 things that you said made it into my notes. I wrote notes about other stuff that was going on because there is no like point of focus
Right.
in this movie.
So let me get to this part, and then I'll switch to you. Oh my God. There's some text on the screen that is not up near long enough, so I have no idea what in the actual fuck is going on. Something to do with missing women. I don't know how we got to this. I feel like Joe Pera, only instead of I don't know how we're back to this. I'm like, I don't know how we got this far.
So it's like every broadcast that happened the day after some woman went missing.
Right. And
well,
and here's my thing. People go missing every fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
Every hour of the day. Someone's gone. How that fucking connection could have possibly been made. It made no fucking sense to me because they have nothing to back it up. Absolutely nothing.
Well, they're all women in the Chicago area. But Chicago.
Chicago people go missing all the time. There just wasn't anything. Anyway. I'll let you go. Let's see what you got.
So this happens a lot in films where they're like looking at something on the screen and then someone starts chatting with them through the screen. It happens in Matrix. It happens in right. So this is like someone talking to him and saying, "We need to meet." So then he is at some antique shop and he sees the woman, the hoodie woman he saw before. So he follows her kind of until he gets to like the staircase and she runs off and he's just like, "I'll just go down the stairs."
Yeah, it goes down these creepy ass stairs.
And in the basement of this building, there's this weird interaction with like this guy describing a woman and it sounds like maybe he killed her or something. I don't know. And then he's in there and I guess it's the owner. Listen, there's no context for anything that's happening.
No.
The owner, I guess, is the guy who was talking to him online. So he tells James he has access to the FBI file on the intrusions, their whole file.
Well, and the guy's in the middle of this basement.
Yeah.
Sitting behind a desk. And what could arguably only be called the most tropish, unflattering, pseudo leisure suit sweat.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like sweatpants, sweatshirt, but he just, it was so 70s and
yeah,
borderline offensive.
It was sort of like this beige neoprene windbreaker situation.
Yeah, with the gold and the hair. Okay.
Anyway, in order to give James this FBI file that he has, James needs to deliver a package to an address and not ask any questions. So, of course, he does that. And I wrote here, the music is terrible. He delivers the package to some guy under a bridge. I don't know how that's an address.
Yeah.
And then inside the package that the guy opens in front of him is a note that says, "This is the man you're looking for." So the crazy guy he's just met under the bridge, who he handed the package to, is the guy who was talking to him.
I don't know. This is like, you think it's a pattern?
So he says the tapes are sending a message and that James has no chance of figuring it out because Bridge Guy has been looking for 10 years and he's trying to warn him off the scent of this whole situation. Back at his house, James finds an envelope that was slid under his door, and it's the FBI file. He calls the guy who wrote the FCC report, who he was talking to earlier in the film, and says, "I know what the tapes mean. They're confessions." And then, and then he's out in the world and he sees this stalker girl who's following him. He ducks into a bar to lose her, and then she comes in anyway, and she orders a shot for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this really stupid long conversation about why she's following him. And she was just like, "I'm just weird."
Well, we got into this whole, if you want me to answer, you get a drink.
Yeah.
14-year-olds.
So she's just a person following him for her own personal weird reasons that don't have anything to do with this broadcast signal intrusion stuff. Sure. Then later he dreams about the masked thing again, the masked person. And he wakes up and Stalker Girl is in his kitchen. And he's told her the whole story about everything, because why not tell this stranger who's been stalking you everything that's going on in your life?
Yeah.
So she offers to help. She listens to the tape. She finds a Morse code with a 7-digit number that they're like, "Oh, it's a phone number."
Mm.
And she wants to crash at his place in return for helping him.
Yeah. Just, why not? Why not?
But he can't call the number because he destroyed his phone out of paranoia. And yet he let this woman who was stalking him into his home and told her everything that was going on. So
now, mind you, folks, this is 1996.
9.
Oh, this is 99?
Yeah, his girlfriend disappeared in 96.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. There were cell phones.
So there were cell phones. Yes. I mean, they were not everybody had a cell phone in 1999.
No, but
you could have got a Nokia brick.
Anyway.
So they call the number from a payphone, and it's just like noise and then a voicemail. And I don't know how your notes are, so I don't know how far you want me to go in this.
I went a little past this. You want me to go?
Yeah, why don't you go?
So long story short, so folks, that kind of leads you to where we're going with this. Something draws James outside, leaving the woman alone in his apartment. She doesn't know that he's left. Outside, James finds the crazy guy. Bridge guy. And at this point, I just can't. The guy has a burner phone suddenly, only to throw it off camera. And then he yells, "Burn her." Right? Goes on about they're everywhere. Then the guy says he needs some fucking sleep, and he cuts his own throat. I'm going to stop right here for a second. It was fucking awesome.
It was very cool.
It was the first awesome thing that happened in this movie.
Yeah, I was like, yes,
and it wasn't,
we're getting somewhere finally.
It wasn't like, the $4 worth of household goods to make a throat cutting scene. It was
because the trailer was very creepy, and that was what drew us in.
Yes.
And up until this point, it has been an absolute snooze fest.
Yes. So I was excited.
Yeah.
Because not only was this fucking like out of nowhere, it was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Really well done. And I thought, here we go.
Yeah.
Right? This is the point, like in the Marvel universe, we finally meet Thanos. We're in it now.
Mm-hmm.
Then James and the woman are on the run. Then they're at a motel. Managed to bring all their files and shit with them in their panicked escape. It's morning. Woman is at the payphone making a call. James wakes up to see her outside. Turns out the numbers on the tape belong to a storage place. They drive to it. They go to this storage shed or storage locker, and inside is a dusty desk with a dusty phone and a dusty answering machine.
Yep.
Layers of dust. They call the phone. The machine plays something that makes them smile. I myself have no fucking idea what happened.
Oh, they recognize it's the same thing they called earlier.
So some odd bullshit goes on. They're outside waiting for someone. They're outside somewhere looking for someone. They see a guy. They approach him, tell him they found his storage unit. He says to follow him. They do. I mean, at some point in this movie, someone has to be able to break the suspension of disbelief and say, no. All right. Later, they're at his place, or if it's his hideout, I don't know. It all looked ridiculous. Yeah, and I wrote, why is everyone living in basements in this fucking movie? You know? And to be fair, James doesn't live in a basement. He lives in an upstairs basement, which is, an old warehouse building that was turned into lofts. So it looks like a basement with a giant ass window. Long fucking story from this guy.
I wrote, this guy's name is Stephen Meyer. He starts telling what promises to be a very long, boring story while he tells his year-long story.
Well, while he's doing that, there's like noises coming from upstairs, and it's made into some kind of mystery when they ask what the noise is, and the guy says, none of their concern. They end up leaving. So this guy is the one who did the intrusions, or was he coerced by people with money?
He says the numbers and code were his idea, but there were like this other group of people doing them.
So I checked out for a while at this point. Yeah. And I actually sat back, my eyes closed. Just took a moment. Because, I mean, nothing else was going on.
Mm-hmm.
None of it was interesting. At some point, James is back home when I come back into it. It's been ransacked, big shock. Finds a tape. It's the third intrusion. I don't know. I don't care. So I summed up. They find a guy, apparently the guy, go to see the set. It's been burnt down, and someone says they need to rebuild it. And at this point, I said, I'm fucking done. Let's turn this off. And you were like, thank Christ. Oh.
Yeah. So we didn't actually finish this film because we couldn't.
No. Now.
And we've watched some really bad films.
But we have, okay, so one out of objection, we stopped watching.
Right.
Because it was just so vile. Another one we stopped watching because even though this is not good, that one was so mind-numbingly fucking torturous. Yeah. I think we made it 21 minutes in.
I know.
And we cashed out and we turned the episode into talking about like fine points of storytelling or some shit. And, we just turned it into like a support fest.
Yeah.
Because it was like, we're not going to bore you with this fucking film. It's just bad. There's nothing to learn here other than everything. If you watch it, everything you see, don't do it. We, talk about some uplifting stuff. So, I mean, folks, unfortunately, that is the coverage of the movie. This was bad. This was bad. There's going to be a lot to go over here. And
buckle up.
I mean, yeah. I'm going to start 10 pages, 10 minutes. Anyone who's been at this for even just a little bit, the golden rule from top studios, producers, managers, everything in Hollywood, all the way down to, I'm not going to say the guy making movies in his backyard because it's just him, but even like Asylum, right?
Oh yeah.
They know who they are, they know what they are, and they've made millions doing it
within the first 10 pages of a script or 10 minutes of a film, because they're the same thing.
Yep.
Essentially.
You have to have someone in your grasp.
Yeah.
Which means you need to have some things given to the reader of the script or to the audience.
You need to tell the audience why they're watching this film, why they're reading this script. Right?
Yes.
So if it's a horror movie, if it's a slasher, you need a kill in the first 10 minutes. If it's a drama, you need an inciting incident within the first 10 minutes. You need to give us the information we need, and then tell us why we should care, and then give us that hook.
And I'm just going to say this, and I know there are some exceptions, but because this has happened too many fucking times since we restarted this show. All right. In the first 10 minutes, give me the motherfucking name of the character that I'm supposed to be following. I don't need to guess who this fucking dude, guy, broham, whatever the fuck I have to come up with to identify him. Give me the fucking name. I don't care if you do it in a stupid, cheesy ass, hi, Bert, so glad to see you, from like the fucking ice cream guy or something. But sweet fucking Christ, people.
Here's how. Okay.
How is this missed?
We watched this movie a few days ago. We took notes. We're recording now.
Yes.
I have blocked this whole thing out of my mind so much. I remember from my notes various things that I wanted to bring up. I don't remember what this main guy looked like. I didn't remember his name until I read it in my notes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. What color was his hair? Who knows?
Dark. Because everybody in this film was dark.
Yeah.
Dark haired. That's the only thing I can remember. But I sound pissy and bitchy and like an asshole when I go on these little rants, but it's fucking Christ. It's the basics, man. The basics.
Yeah.
How, and again, there isn't one film that we've covered where it's been one person who wrote it, directed it, produced it, starred in it, right? Yeah. All by their lonesome. There's other people involved. And I'm pretty fucking sure somebody, particularly the other actors, had read the script. And why nobody points this shit out or bothers to fix it. This is rudimentary. I mean, it's not even elementary. It's rudimentary.
It's one thing if that's sort of a gimmick of the film. Because there have been films, I can't remember the names of them, but where like you don't know the name of the main character.
As I said, there are some exceptions, but they've done it exceedingly well. And by that, I mean, there's so much more going on. I know this guy. I know what this guy's about. I don't know his name, but I find, or woman, I find this character fascinating. I'm interested in what they're doing. In that first 10 minutes, I have a sense of who they are, what their life is like, right? What they do for work, or what situation they're getting into, or I've been handed in that first 10 minutes 3 things that are going to fuck this person up later in the movie, right? Or 3 things that this person's going to like just fucking chomp down on to overcome. You get those hints, those seeds, shit is planted.
Yeah.
And it makes me, I notice it because it's there. They don't go out of the way, like exposition style, to show it. It's just done that well, where it's character development. I want to know what's going on here.
Yeah.
I want to go to page 11. I want to sit here for 1 more minute.
Yeah.
Right?
on the side of good. You mentioned it earlier, the lighting in this film is very good quality. The tone visually is really nice and really consistent throughout the film.
Yeah, you said they were going for a noir.
Yeah, it felt like a neo-noir.
Yeah. Well, every time he got off work, it was dark.
Yeah.
And they always had him walking home.
Same street, same buildings.
Yeah. And you could tell it was late. Because like when he walks out, I think there's a bar.
And it feels like real night shots.
Yeah.
Like they're very well done.
Oh, yeah. But was it a bar?
I think it was a bar.
Because it looks like some sort of neon thing. And it looked like every time there was like either two hookers.
Right.
Who were just like worn out.
Yeah.
You know, or they're just bar regulars and that's what they do. But it did set kind of a mood for a moment.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
His apartment is very sad, very cluttered, not dirty, but like lots of stuff, equipment, you know, kind of stuff everywhere. The apartment of a sad, obsessive, crazy person.
Well, yeah. You know, here's the thing. See, in retrospect, I can apply some things to this, but during the watching of it, no. Let's just say the writing sucked. It was so bad. The script should have been burnt, and they'd have been better off improvising just some make it up as you go along thing in terms of story.
But the cinematography
was pretty good. Like I said, it was shot very well. Like you said, it was a neo-noir thing. But we didn't get enough of any one thing at any one time to really soak in, to saturate us with that feeling.
Well, that's the thing. The tone visually was very good. However, no single shot was framed, as far as I could tell, for me to know what I should be focusing on in that shot. It was all so busy or so empty or so just meh.
So I'm going to say this. Like that goofy fucker that comes to the door.
Yeah.
Right now we see this a lot in very low budget indie films because you've got one camera and you don't have all day, right? It's like just get the one shot. Good. Let's go. I am a firm believer that when the main character is engrossed in a conversation, no more than 20% of that conversation should be from behind them, should be over their shoulder, right? The whole time they're in the fucking doorway.
I know.
This creepy little short dude going on about stuff. It's hard to talk about with getting incensed on.
Yeah.
Just so bad. The whole thing was shot over the shoulder. So I have no reaction from the main character. I have no facial expressions. I don't have any kind of projection of voice, right? And they're letting this little wiener dude dominate the scene, but also the framing was poor. It felt awkward looking at the little guy.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't get a sense of like over the shoulder perspective. I got a sense of we're all like crammed to a one-seater toilet and trying to shoot a scene.
Here's the only place we can put the camera.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. As well, and this is what bugs me, as well, the quality of the filming, as well as it was shot film-wise, and most everything else. I cannot believe they couldn't put the camera over, rerun the scene, and even just get reaction shots, right? That's one of the things that made this movie so monotonous. There were not enough breakaway shots.
Yeah.
And it's like, was everything one take? Like,
well, yeah, it's like every scene they post the camera on spot. That's the scene.
Yeah. And
like a play almost.
Right. That apartment. Well, I was saying, I can go back and attribute some things to this now. In the moment, I couldn't because it was so brain-numbingly boring. If I were to look at it now, even just like still shots of it, I would say, yeah, it looks like the kind of apartment a dude who lost somebody. His girlfriend left him, or wife left him, or something, or died. Anyway, he suffered a loss.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was kind of a pigsty and all, it looked to me more like he was bringing work home.
Yeah.
Right. Like just swallow, or drowning himself in work
Yeah.
to avoid the misery, which is a true thing that happens.
Yeah.
But again, no focus on anything in particular long enough to let me absorb, to let me in. Like 25 seconds of him either on the phone or talking to himself or even doing something where we're seeing him do something and then we cut to a stack of this, doing something, we cut to where he, the sink, and then he walks up to it. And then we cut to this over here and he walks up to it, so that I can, for at least 3 or 4 seconds, focus on that bit of set dressing that is explaining this guy and his life. Right? It's just, like I said, they posted it up.
Yeah.
And he's off in the other room. They're shooting him in the kitchen from the living room.
Right.
And it's high. So you don't see a whole lot. You see like barely the top of the table, coffee table, and then shit stacked up.
There's one shot in the apartment after Stalker Girl gets there, and I think before the bridge guy cut his throat, where they show a crazy board. And I'm like, since when has he had a crazy board? When did he build that?
I know. The thing about a crazy board, unless it's the kind of thing that's like in a Discovery.
Yeah.
Like, they open a closet and there's a crazy board. Like, whoa, what the fuck's wrong with John?
Yeah.
We don't even know what the crazy board is about, right? That dude's got a crazy board. Kind of like It's Always Sunny. Charlie.
I love Charlie's crazy board so much.
Other than that, the building of a crazy board to me is
its own scene.
It's not only its own scene, but it progressively through. Mm-hmm. If it's montage style, that's fine. If it happens at different points in the film, that's fine. But the inception of it and the beginning of it, to me, is just so brutally important.
Right. To suddenly a crazy board.
Right.
Right. And it's not like we're walking into this apartment for the first time. We've been in here a bunch of times. It's a little different if it's like you're doing an investigation. It's a film and this character's doing an investigation and they go into someone's apartment for the first time and, oh, boo, crazy board.
Yeah. Here's how I would describe it, how jarring it was. So you're watching a movie, you got a guy, business dude, clean shaven, right? He's going to the bathroom. He's going back to his office. He's on the phone. And then he walks out to tell his secretary something because he's got like the phone on hold or something. And as he puts his head through the doorway, he's got a full beard.
I know.
Like, when the fuck did that grow? Like 3 steps in, 4 steps in, Yeah. It's just very strange. And hey folks, if you want to watch this and see what the ending was like, power to you. Mm-hmm. I did peek because I had to, shut everything down.
Sure.
But we were 10 minutes away from the end.
Really?
And that was 10 minutes of my life I wasn't willing to give up.
Yeah, that's fine.
I couldn't.
I do think the acting was okay. I mean, it was good. I wasn't pulled out because of the acting, but I don't think that there was a whole lot to go on for the acting.
That's the problem. This was so the cinematography, I'll give it like an 85%, because it's not just the lighting and stuff. It's the framing of things that are, important. So I'll give it an 85%. I mean, they had some money they
had good equipment.
Well, either they had good equipment or they knew what the hell they were doing in post, and they had good post people and good post equipment.
Mm-hmm.
It looks clean.
Yes.
The editing, however, is not good. And I say that with the caveat that maybe it was just the writing. We've talked about it last time like on Birdemic. Didn't matter how they edited that in the end.
I did not know.
It was a shambles. It would have been, right? Editing can't fix a complete train wreck. Editing can polish a turd, though. And here's an example. George Lucas, Star Wars,
sure.
right? He showed it to Martin Scorsese. He showed it to a lot of big people. And they all said it was unwatchable. So who comes in? And this is like David Ryan Keith all over.
It was his wife.
Yep. Who swoops in and says, move.
Yeah.
Sat down. She recut the film and he showed it. And they're like, this is like it's like you shot a different movie. So editing can save the day. But when something...
Well, but you can't count on it too. You need to get it right.
We've talked about that. There's a big saying, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
With sound, we'll fix it in the mix. As a photographer, my mentor got one thing through to me that I used from day one. Because people are asking, well, how do you, do this? Because, we're talking with film, right? This is way before digital.
Yeah.
How do you develop this to get this? And how do you get this effect? And how do you saturate this? And it's just like, we're not going to talk about that till the very end. Rule number 1, get it right in the viewfinder.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the key to everything.
Yes.
It's like, you see a flower, don't lift your camera and take a picture of it. It should take you at least 10 minutes to get that picture. You should walk around that flower slowly, examine it by or 360 degrees, and then do it again high, do it again low. Now do it with the camera. Step back and zoom in, step forward and zoom out. Understand the picture, not the flower. Nobody gives a good goddamn about the fucking flower.
Right.
Everyone has a flower. Everyone's seen a flower. Make me want to pay you money for your still shot of this particular flower. Because there's something about it that I know I will never or would never have seen that flower in that way.
Right.
Right? And that's kind of the thing. Just get shit right the first time through.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about it. It is. It's just crazy. Yeah.
On the good.
Good.
I'll say it for the third time. The trailer for this film was great.
Okay, I'm going to give a 110% score.
Fantastic trailer.
That trailer had us fucking hooked.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the trailer had like the coolest weird moments.
All the good bits.
Yeah. The and then just some random shit that just made you wonder, what? And then when you see the movie, you're like, well, that was nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a dude walking like away from the camera for no reason. But anyway, that trailer was rocking.
It was.
So I will say this, look this fucking thing up, watch that trailer over and over and over and over and over. See how the trailer had everything the movie didn't.
It did. Yeah.
It
had good pacing.
That was
lots of great moments.
I love you so much. That was the first thing I was going to say. The pacing of this trailer was fucking top notch.
Yeah.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, because we were just like,
I gotta see this.
Yeah, at the end of it, we're like, yeah.
The trailer absolutely did its job.
Oh, it was a banging trailer.
Yeah.
Shit.
It was creepy. It was everything.
And more to the point, it didn't have that weird fucking music.
Yeah.
They used something else for it, which was suitable.
Yeah.
Right. We'll come back to that, the music bit in a bit. But yeah, trailers, folks. Trailers, we said it 1,000 times. Trailers are the most important thing to get your movie noticed. You can do word of mouth. You can do other, advertising bits and posters and social media and shit. But a trailer is a fucking art form.
It really is.
So I'm not an editor. So I went out and I, bought some classes, learn how to do stuff and basic techniques and stuff. But in doing that, I found there are hundreds of people selling classes on just making trailers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I get it. I get it, because if you have a shit trailer, you have fucked your movie into the world of darkness and no income forever. It is so difficult to recover. If you've had this bad trailer out and you're like, yeah, this will be all right. Word gets around. You make a new trailer? No, they just be like, no. I already saw. I don't need trailer number 2. This was shit.
Yeah.
You know, because we've seen some trailers where we're like, hey,
I don't know.
is this about a movie?
Right.
You know, and we're not talking about a Netflix and everybody when you go to the trailer and it's just 90 seconds of a scene. I hate that. I hate that they allow that, because trailers.
I can understand it for older films that maybe they don't have, maybe never had a trailer, right?
I mean, if they're indie films, probably, but every film from day one when they started trailers up to the mid 80s at the very least had trailers, because that was one of the most exciting parts about going to the movie theater. The movie that I want to see, which is hopefully going to be good.
Yeah.
And a trailer got me in there to see it.
Well, but those trailers were not always saved, especially like African Queen.
Yeah, I suppose.
We bought it on Apple TV, I think, but or we own it some other way. It was on.
We have the VHS.
We have the VHS, and it was on.
We watched it on Amazon.
Stream, yeah. But Amazon doesn't have the trailer for African Queen because that was 50 years ago, and maybe no one ever saved that trailer.
I mean, I suppose that could be a possibility.
I've derailed us.
That's all right. I'm just gonna say it's unforgivable to not have a good trailer.
Yeah,
and it is an art. Also, when you're making a trailer, and this is for if anybody is in the top tier of Hollywood listening to this, stop fucking putting the reveal in the fucking trailer.
Oh my God. Your twist or your whatever it is.
Yes.
Stop it.
If you know there's a scene in the movie where a person A, B, or C looks like they've been killed and it's a surprise when they're alive, don't show that and then show the guy later covered in blood or whatever. Oh, well, I guess I'm in there watching this happen then. And I'm like, well, I know he's not dead. I want that whole thing.
Yeah.
So your writer is going to be like, Dick, why'd you do that? And the director's going to be, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
So there is an art to it. And kudos to them, whether by skill or by accident, they nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I was super excited to see this.
Talk about the music.
Yeah, let's talk about music. Now, I've said many times before, music can make or break a film.
Yes.
It broke this one. It was already broken, to be fair, but I don't even know how to approach this. So music costs money, really good music.
It does, yeah.
Okay. Now, most films we've seen, they're friends who have had bands, right? Or there was a couple that we read up on that they went out and got some local bands, right? And these are folks who were like, they're not even making cover charges.
Right.
They're just trying to be seen as like, hey, I'll give you guys $100 if I can use this in my film. And, it'll be listed in the credits. Fuck yeah. Right? This didn't seem to be that. This was
I think they paid for this music. I think it was,
You think so?
I do.
I get this gut feeling that they went on to like YouTube's music bank and just picked the most horrendous shit. It's bad. This movie was already disjointed enough and disorienting in its slow pacing and just completely fucked up storyline, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, but the music, I mean, as hard as it was to get into the film, the music then continually pulled you out.
I mean, that's exactly it. It was just that bad. It was just like someone dropping, a whole rack of pans in the kitchen onto the floor.
And it didn't match the neo-noir feel of it.
No, and that's where I had a problem trying to figure out what the feeling was.
Yeah.
And you said that, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy that. But there was so much that did not contribute to it.
Right.
And shooting it at night,
mm-hmm.
shooting in the dark is not noir, folks.
No.
But so many people think it is.
No, but I mean, it was clear they were going for a sort of, like gumshoe situation, even though he wasn't a detective.
Right.
He was doing the detective work of figuring out what was going on with these intrusions.
Mm-hmm. And I can appreciate that. I just don't appreciate them not actually doing that or not getting that across. So I was thinking of films that were moody, in their shooting.
Yeah.
And not super fast paced. So Eraserhead, David Lynch.
Okay.
Right? Eraserhead is not an action movie. It is a cerebral workout, both in what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, it's very surreal.
And can I stick through this? But here's the catch. It hooks you.
Yeah, because you're like, what is...
I've got to see what's next. Yeah. I've got to see where this is going. It's like, Patton Oswalt and the clown thing. I'm really pissed off, but I kind of want to see where this is going.
Yeah.
That's what this movie is missing, is a hook.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand how the connections, why all this. And I refuse to believe the last 10 minutes is like the Holy Grail.
Tied it all up.
Yeah.
In a little bow.
Yeah. Now I think they think it might have been tied up, but if we were to watch it, then I'd have 10 more minutes to pitch about. Because they'd have missed that mark, I'm pretty sure. I'd put money on it. Music, first of all, it can't be the same. And let's go back. I'm looking right at it. Let's go back to The Room. Okay. Tommy paid good money, because it wasn't like a Casio, right? He had a small, I don't want to call it orchestra, but what is the word for a small orchestra?
He bought a piece of music. It wasn't great music.
Yeah, but it was all the time, every time.
Yeah, it was the only piece of music that was used.
Every third cut scene.
It was horrific.
It played with some random shots of parks and the San Francisco Bridge. And
I started to feel like that music was going to show up in my nightmares.
I know. But it wasn't jarring. It was just annoying after the umpteenth time.
Yeah.
This one, it didn't fit the moods. And like you said, it pulled out, just completely pulled you out of any hint.
Yeah.
The slightest, like one little Velcro hook of connection.
I mean, music. Yeah. If the bad writing, bad story, bad focus didn't pull, didn't yank you out of the viewing of this film and make you go, why though? The music did.
Yeah. Other movies I thought of are my favorite movies, my slice of life movies. Local Hero, not fast paced.
No.
Not a lot of theatrical. There wasn't really any tension in the beginning. It was just kind of like, where
sure
is this going? But every minute of it, I was just glued to it.
Yeah.
And, not because I love Peter Riegert. And I was just fascinated by this. There was that element. And it was that 10 pages. Because before we even get to Scotland, we know all about Macintosh.
Yes, we know what Macintosh wants. We know who he is.
And we know why he's being sent.
Yeah.
and we get a hint of his boss. So we get we get Burt Lancaster as the head of the oil company. We get him. We get his coworker. We get the small interaction with his secretary. All these things, I get this dude. So when he gets there and the environment is immediately diametrically opposed to his Houston, Texas oil man, salesman, deal closing lifestyle.
Yeah.
I can see, okay, this is going to be something,
Yeah.
What's coming.
I mean, another example would be The Illusionist.
Yes.
Which is not a fast-paced movie until you get to the end when, this like Katamari ball of stuff just kind of like really picks up pace. But the first 75% of that movie is pretty slow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dark.
Yeah, it is.
And it's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so engaging.
Yes.
I love that movie.
That's the art of storytelling.
Yeah.
Right? You have to, Little Red Riding Hood. Okay. Not a whole lot there that sets you up. There's no like preamble of these murders in the woods and people going missing and this, legendary Sasquatch style sized where, wolf taking things. They don't need all that.
No.
It's a horror story.
Yeah.
Modern horror movies do that a lot. And I can't complain about it. Because like you said, if it's a horror movie, we need to kill. We need something in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the more you can give me, the better. Because from that point on, I feel safe. There's not going to be a boatload of exposition.
Right.
For the sake of, we got to catch the audience up. Because at this point, they don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So the music was terrible. Music needs to set the mood, needs to balance. Occasionally, it can contrast the mood of the scene.
Sure.
Like I'm a huge fan of like slow, especially slow like Celtic music in a massive battle scene. We've talked about many. My favorite, Last of the Mohicans with Daniel Day-Lewis. 8 minutes and 17 seconds of music and hardly any fucking speaking. They're just going. And it's this wonderful Irish reel. And I can't talk about it enough. I know I've said it at least a dozen times in the last few years on here. Magical.
There is, this is a more, a more lighthearted take, I guess, but the film 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
The scene where Adam Sandler's on the boat and he's listening to Beach Boys, Wouldn't It Be Nice? Which is, if you listen to the lyrics, my watch went off. I put it on Do Not Disturb.
Oh.
But if you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's a very sad song, but it's such an upbeat tune.
Well, that's kind of the thing.
So he's in that boat and he's listening to Beach Boys, Wouldn't It Be Nice? And he's just like, no, just crying with this upbeat song. It's a fantastic scene.
It is. But that's the thing. With songs, and we've had this discussion with Lily, how important it is to listen to a song, to listen to the lyrics, because there are a lot of songs that are jumpy or peppy or something you listen, like, we both have music that we put on and power through like mundane tasks.
Yes.
Right? Like when I have to clear the cues out and stuff, that's like 40 minutes of work. I pick my song, put it on repeat, and bam, boom, 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 I go. And she does the same. She likes to have the music.
Yes.
But you have to listen to the lyrics. And this is more a parenting thing, folks. This has nothing to do with film. So if you have children and you haven't thought about this, well, here you go. Even though you're not paying attention to the lyrics, right? They are subliminally imprinting themselves in the brain.
Right.
Because that's how the brain processes. The brain processes what you don't pay attention to. It just does, right? So while your consciousness is focused on this other shit and ignoring the other stuff, the brain's like, got it. I'll file it. Right. And you got to be careful with that. But yeah, there's a lot of songs out there like that are, when you listen to them or find the lyrics, right? These days you get the lyrics on, the iPad and the phone and stuff. And whoa.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Now and sometimes I feel weird. Like, I don't know that I should have felt as good as I have listening to this, because now I feel like, oh, like I'm siding with evil.
Like the Pina Colada song.
Oh, fuck. Well, even she caught that one on a young age.
I was like, wait, what? What is happening?
Why would you listen to this? Well,
because it's catchy.
Yeah. All right. So, a combination of things to take away from this is, first 10 pages, first 10 minutes, you have to have, the hook has to be given, right? You have to catch us with it. That's why they call it a hook,
Yes.
Music is dreadfully important. And I'm putting that at number 2 because I feel it is more important than the cinematography. It
can be, yes.
Because we have watched some films that, bless their hearts. It's that they had what they had, right? And you can't be like, oh, well, they, looks like they only had a budget of $100. Yeah, but they made a fucking movie. These guys made a movie, unfortunately.
We love an earnest effort.
Oh, hell yes.
That's why we love The Room.
Yes.
There are so many films that didn't have a lot to work with, and to put, like Space Trucker Bruce, $0 budget film.
Right.
That film is all heart, all earnest effort.
Yep.
And it shows.
It does. And there's so many more, I guess before I go on with the list, I guess I want to say the reason I am very harshly slamming this movie is because this is like the third movie already.
I know.
Where we're like, what a fucking disappointment. And I don't
want to be like that. I don't
want to be like that. And there's so many films out there, right? And it kind of makes me in the back of my mind, are they all like this? Are they all actually shit? Because when you get pretty much three in a row, and out of all the movies out there, it's like, well, do I have that kind of fucked up luck?
Right. Or you start to wonder, am I an asshole? Like, do I?
Right. I'm angry because of the trailer.
Well, that's a great lesson. Have a good trailer. This movie had a great trailer.
Yeah.
It didn't have the film to back it up.
It didn't. And we were both like, oh, I can't wait for this one.
Yeah.
And people who are in our situation, the reason we're doing this bi-weekly, we've gone into it, is time.
Mm-hmm.
When I put my time into a movie, and especially if it's exciting because the trailer, and oh fuck, then I'm angry. And there were just so many things wrong with this, in the pacing, just the story structure,
and the focus.
It's not good. Yeah. Too much of what we didn't need or want, and not enough of what was desperately needed.
It felt more like it was leaning more towards the artsy side of things. And film is an art. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with someone being artistic in their film.
Yeah, no.
But you can't just be shock value and it wasn't even that, but you can't just be weird for the sake of, being a weird film.
Yeah.
Like, have something. It needs some meat. It needs something.
So, to sum up, story, nail it, understand the flow, grab the people, get some good music. The cinematography, was good. The sound was mostly okay. There was a couple scenes.
Yeah. And it was
were,
tough to tell, like, are they doing this on purpose or is it? But yeah.
Let's see. Excellent trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give it that. And the acting, I will say the acting was good. Let's give it to that. Let's give it to them.
Sure.
I just don't think they had a lot to go with.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight you on that.
Yeah. But I wasn't strained by seeing any particular person on screen.
There wasn't any actor that pulled me out with their, wooden delivery or anything like that. They all did a good job. Well,
check out our website, lordsofmisrule.productions.com. Check out all the links, Patreons. As you're listening to this on whatever platform that you're listening to, be it YouTube or whatever podcast app you have, or through a website or anything, please
follow, review,
subscribe. Yes, leave a review. And let's put the call out again. End of the year is coming. So for our end of year retrospective, let's hear it. Do you have someone for us?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Because we spend a lot of time on that retrospective. We spend, 4 to 6 weeks researching, watching.
Yeah, and not
talking.
like one day a week.
No, like
it's
like, continuous.
Yeah, it's 4, sometimes 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
Of research, conversation, and stuff. Like I'm turning to my right.
Elise
Gee is over Danny's desk, and we have her down here looking over us.
I look at her every day.
And if you don't know who that is, folks, guess what? Go backwards in our episodes.
To our retrospective on Elise Gee.
Yeah. It'll be the last a day in the last week of December.
Yeah.
Is when it would have come out. And learn about who Elise Gee is. Beautiful, beautiful woman in every sense of the word, as a creative, as a woman, as a spirit. Magnificent.
Yeah. A real true inspiration.
Yeah. And she wasn't in movies. She made them.
Right.
So your person can make movies, be in the movies, have something to do with the movies. So if you know, like, there's a composer who has just all this beautiful work, right? Film after film after film after film, maybe didn't get they're not getting the love and attention. Send it to us.
Yeah.
We'll check it out.
Wow.
All right, B-siders.
Until next time.
This is Jim.
And this is Danny.
Keep writing. Keep filming, keep acting, keep doing what you're doing. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.